What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily Podcast powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. It is game day. I am live in Tallahassee. It looks like the IPF, but it's actually not as nice because I am in Tallahassee and enjoying the vibes, man. It is what we've been asking for. Miami top 5 team, Florida State, ranked opponent, clearly overmatched. All the ingredients are there for a great win for Miami, but they got to go out and execute, stick to the script, and do what they've been doing. If they do what they've been doing, there's going to be a lot of happy Canes fans, a lot of bruised up Seminoles, and a lot of sad Noles, which is what we want out here. First, some folks that always stick to the script when they need to. That is Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anajar and Levine. Pete, hop in here.
Good morning, D.
How we doing?
Doing well, man. I got to say I have mixed emotions this morning. Normally at this time, I would be headed over to the licking and, we'd be hanging out there. This has been the routine the first month of the season. We get our lamb. I get my lamb chops, the yams, the collard greens. You get your fried broccoli. You get your salmon. Today, the vibes are obviously fantastic because it's Florida State, but I'm a little bit, down about that. And as I have the college game day on in front of me now, they're starting to talk about the game now. They actually have the camera on Jordan Lyle from yesterday, all access. And I will say I have mixed emotions for a few reasons, D. I don't want to be insensitive in today's world to what I'm about to say, but tonight is the onset of war, and like I said last podcast, war is war. It's nothing more, and war could be very businesslike. And tonight, I expect Miami to handle business. I expect them to go into that game. Everyone's talking about Florida State's going to jump on Miami. No, I think Miami jumps on Florida State today. I think Miami comes out all of this energy that Florida State fans have, that we already see this morning on ACC Network, all of the energy that I think it maybe took a little bit for Florida State fans to get built up for this. Listen, I know Florida State fans. I didn't hear much from them this week. They were still getting over that Virginia game. But I think once the end of this week came and they turned their attention to this game, they said, forget about last week. Their energy's towards Miami. And I think that this team is going to feed off of the energy in that stadium tonight. And they're going to deliver a blow early. And I think Miami comes out in this one ready to go, dialed in, locked in, and reflecting the attitude of what their coach is going to be. Because when Mario steps out there tonight, they're going to have the cameras on him. He's going to give his pregame interview. He's going to be very short and to the point, and he's going to be ready to go. And that's how I think this team is going to come out tonight, D.
Yeah, up here, I got to say the vibes, we'll see how it is today. I've not left the house yet today, but yesterday we went out. I wore my Canes stuff. A lot of sleeper cells in Tallahassee. People in plain clothes, throwing up the U. Men, women, young people, all supporting the Canes, throwing up the U when they saw us, coming up saying what's up, saying they watched the show. So we're out here, even heavier than you might think.
We wanted to do the show earlier. I got pulled to multiple, not just one, multiple home goods stores, not home goods-esque stores this morning, and there was a lot of orange and green out and about. There, I saw a couple Noles, but the orange and green was out and about this morning. Did not find the wreath that we were looking for, so that was unfortunate.
Like a Christmas wreath?
Not really sure. It was a wreath. There could be a fall wreath. She left again and went to another store now. But I did my good deed for the morning, and I apologize for not being able to be on earlier, but I just had to deliver that update. The wreath was not located.
Home goods stores weren't delivering. There's going to be some wreaths showing up to FSU. It's on Sunday. Some of those funeral wreaths, because it's going to be a bloodbath. Man, I was surprised, again, how many Canes fans there were. The Noles fans weren't really that hostile. Some of them would be like when we walk by, some of the kids, like after we walked by, they'd be like, F Miami and run away, but not a lot of face-to-face hostility. Honestly, much more love for the Canes out there. So
wow, I just got a text and she's not listening to the show, but she said wreath with a green check mark. And she has no clue that I just talked about this. So listen, a lot of great things are happening this morning in the lead up to this one. D. I'm excited, man. I'm hyped. I don't know if you can tell. I got an energy about me this morning, man. I'm ready to go. You guys let me know how you're feeling this morning. I feel very, very confident. I don't feel like D has this again. And by the way, I'm waiting for the full post from our boy Camden Burton. I just hit him up again this morning for it. So I'm waiting to post that full thing. But you have 31-28. I have 34-16.
Yeah, I'm questioning that prediction now because it's game day, so I'm starting to feel the vibes. Everything I hear about the team ready to rock and roll. The electric juice is flowing. And then the wreath conversation, man, you got me going. I think about George Jones. He stopped loving her today. One of the greatest country songs of all time, maybe one of the greatest songs of all time, Pete. And, George Jones, alcoholic, almost drank himself to death, the greatest country singer to ever live. Already at that time, they thought he was washed up. Then he goes to the studio to record this song. He has to do like 100 takes because he's too drunk to finish them. It takes like 6 months to record like one song. And the song is about a guy who stopped loving, or who loved a girl who didn't love him back. And he never stopped loving her. And then when the refrain starts picking up and the strings start coming in, he says, oh, he stopped loving her. And they're like, oh, why'd he stop loving her? And they said, they brought a wreath up to his door, meaning he's gone. He stopped loving her because he died. So I think the wreaths are going to be showing up at maybe FSU's ACC championship hopes, Tommy Castellanos' hopes of being respected as a real quarterback,
Llanos.
The defensive lines.
I'm going to call him
general. So there's going to be a lot of wreaths being delivered up here in Tallahassee because like Tyson Tracy says, the things that travel, the trenches, the run game, and the electric juice.
Yeah, and you've got to, hopefully you clean up. Not hopefully, you've got to clean up. If what I'm talking about is going to happen, you can't have the procedural stuff, right? When I talk about them being dialed in, locked in, it's that. It's not setting yourself back and, hey, you got a 1st and 15 right out the gate, and you've got something that's working against you. That's a fault of your own right off the bat there. So stuff like that, obviously, but I think they will. I think they will do very well to go against that. And I think again, I don't know. We talked about this much this week, or enough, but I don't see it with the linebackers of Florida State. I can see it with a couple of their defensive linemen, right? I could see a Daryl Jackson making a play here or there. But I see some guys a couple guys in the secondary who can make some plays, but the linebackers, I don't see it with that group. And I think, yeah. With the way that Miami's going to play, and then the certain parts of the field that you're trying to attack also, right? Not only in the run game, but Elijah Lofton, we saw how he moved the chains on 3rd down last week. Malachi Toney, we see the areas of the field that he occupies, right? And you would expect, obviously you have the guys in the slot that are covering Malachi, but I think the linebackers also come into play there.
No, I'm with you. They stink. And I think the big problem, here's FSU's problem. They have a lot of problems. First of all, it looks like it's going to be a nice day. I know we usually do the Doppler radar around this time at the Lickin'. A little early for that, but it looks like it's going to be potentially a very nice day, which I think is going to help because we're the better team, right? So when you're clearly the better team at every position, you want better weather because it just makes things more predictable. The better team, there's less variables with wet balls and just weird stuff going on. You're the better team. There we go. Look at that. Looking clear out here. Oh my God, what a dump this place is.
Yeah, looks like we're good. Looks like we're good. Little action out in the east, but you know how that is over there. Coast is clear right now.
Look at that Suwannee right there. Look at that Suwannee River going right here, right there.
Right here?
No. To the right, to the right. Right there by I-10. Look at that
right
Suwannee.
Here. Okay.
No, there it is. The best in the business.
There you go.
Nick West, Lickin' wings are legit, man. Yeah, I'm missing Lickin'. I got to be honest, man. I was feeling the same way as you, man. Shout out to Taylene, Chef Bridget. Coach Mello, the whole crew out there, man. That fried broccoli, I'm missing it. But I think here's FSU's biggest problem among many huge problems that they have. They play that 3-man front, and their defense. I was talking to a friend about this, who's a defensive coach in college football, knows way more about this stuff than I do. But he was talking about this is the Rocky Long system. Rocky Long back in New Mexico. He was one of these G5 coaches that had a lot of success on defense, which is the school that FSU's defensive coordinator comes from. And it's a 3-down front, but it's a 3-down front that's predicated on speed and movement, having undersized guys and just kind of showing different looks, really confusing the quarterback, having versatile, fast, athletic guys, not being the biggest guys. Okay, well, FSU certainly are not big up front. The problem is with Miami, we play that duo blocking, tight split scheme where it's like a wall or a phalanx, to use a Roman analogy. So these guys are just tight together, and then they're just mauling everybody up front, and it's hard to get through. You can't get through. So when you have that type of when you have a defense that's built on speed and movement and getting behind the line of scrimmage and just kind of outrunning people or outquicking people, and then you got this wall of giants who play as one with tremendous technique and discipline, that 3-5 or 3-4, I'm sorry, there's a lot of space there. And the guys aren't big, so it's not like those guys are taking up 2 gaps. So there's a lot of space. There's a lot of angles. There's a lot of ways to get Mark Fletcher or Jordan Lyle or whoever loose. And then with this scheme, that's what we want to do. So I just think the combination of our scheme with that tight formation, ton of big athletic offensive linemen, and then a lot of duo blocks, which means there's not a lot of pulling. There's not a lot of creases being open where guys can shoot in because they're a wall and they're not moving that much. Pushing forward against an undersized 3-man front, you're going to see, to me, a lot of movement in the running game. That to me is FSU's main problem, and you'll see it visually. So, like, as I'm saying this now, make a little note when you guys are watching the game and see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but see when you're watching the game that 3-man front, you see like just too much space created, not just by moving guys out of the way, but by the actual scheme itself matched up against our offensive line.
So we had a comment here from Canes Cat Heat 305, who I was trying to listen to it. I was trying to put the volume up, but I couldn't hear it. They had the segment with Saban talking about Miami. He said he loves Miami's defense and he thinks Miami's number one. That's what Canes Cat Heat said. He said there. So yeah, pretty good praise there, huh?
Yeah, no, we wanted to watch it. They kept moving the segment back. I think something happened with Belichick that they got their schedule all whacked out. So we were going to watch that before we did the show. But yeah, I'm curious what he said. Obviously, it sounds like he liked our defense. What's not to like? First road game, so that defense has to travel. But if that defense, and like, thanks to Canes Cap for the transcript here, he said they play fast, they attack, they are aggressive. If the demeanor of that defense, which means swarm to the ball, incredible hustle plays like you saw with Ruben Bain's interception, just the way that they attack, and not just attack like sending blitzes. I'm talking about just the way they play within their scheme. If that energy and intensity and just how hard and physical they play translates here to their first road game, FSU's not going to have a chance because they just don't have a lot of talent on offense. They don't have a lot of talent on their team.
Dollar Tree Bear just picked the cover for Miami, so he has Miami covering 4.5.
Yeah, we can switch to Big Noon now. Shout out to Bear.
I'm going to Big Noon now.
Big Noon. Yeah, Yalaha saying, what's he saying? Where's my guy Yalaha saying? D, where can I meet you, man? I'm up here. I'm right now. Like I said, I'm in the Airbnb, staring at this janky fence that they got out here. I walked up these hills, these very barren hills here in Tallahassee this morning. Just kind of, I was visualizing scenarios of like, hey man, if Carson Beck somehow, if he slipped on a banana peel and got hurt, would Emory Williams be able to win this game? And I think he could. So that was sort of my thought process during the morning jog.
Something that I think as we continue to analyze like how much improved the defense has been this year, as D-Huck says, Saban made it a point to say how disciplined the defense is now versus last year. The more that I see of Corey Heatherman and the more that I hear, I think he's pretty similar to Mario in kind of like the work ethic and like how the seriousness, obviously it's almost like militaristic in a sense. And I think that's a lot of the coaches Mario had hired previously had other, personality traits that maybe complemented him a little bit more. You had a Kevin Steele who is not because he's not a worker. It's just like the nature of him having worked and been around so long. Like, it's not going to be the same intensity level that you're getting from a Corey Heatherman, who is still a guy who is working his way up the ladder and still had a lot to prove. Guidry too, also. I mean, he'd been around, but I think was at a different point of his career where like Guidry was probably happy being the defensive coordinator at Miami the rest of his career if it came to it, right? I think Heatherman is wired similarly to Cristobal, and I think it's different than some of these other coordinators he's hired, and I think that has been one of the big reasons it's ticked.
Yeah, well, who's the common thread here? Schiano. So I think the fact that Schiano is such a, he trusts Mario, Mario trusts him. There's such a connection there. We saw Schiano there in spring. I mean, that was the first time I've ever seen a Power 4 coach at another Power 4 school active, just walking around like normal, because this spring started a little later because it gets colder up there. So obviously the fact that Heatherman comes from the Schiano tree, as Mario does, I think that makes a lot of this overlap. But really with Heatherman, I think what he did that was so needed with this team is he just made it simple. He said, look, we're not going to confuse you with the alignment. We're not going to confuse you with all the movement after the snap and the stunts and all that. We're going to trust that you guys are going to beat the man in front of you. We're going to drill technique. So you have the technique and the skills necessary to beat the man in front of you. We're going to be very strict on the technique and detail oriented. And then we're going to play 115 miles an hour and everybody's going to run to the ball. And I think the key to doing that, the guy who fits everything we just talked about it, and Josh is kind of getting to this, is you got a healthy Ruben Bain as the tip of the spear. And one thing I've really learned this season, it's not that I learned it this season. I mean, we've all kind of known this, but seeing it in action this season to me has been something to really take note of, which is in all these great teams, your best players set a certain tone. And when your best player is Ruben Bain, and he plays harder than anyone on the field, and he works harder off the field than anybody, your defense takes his personality. So an offense, the offensive line, Mark Fletcher, Carson Beck, the way those guys work, it translates on offense. But I really think going forward with this portal era and this trying to put the salary cap on and all this other stuff that's going on, I think the most important thing to do in building a team is find out who is the guy that we can get that has interest in our school, that is a elite player with elite talent, I should say, with an elite work ethic and attitude that plays the way. If you look at a player, let's say, and I'll use example, Ruben Bain's the example on our team. Let's say it's Jeremiah Smith, who we know works hard off the field like no one else. You say, man, I'd love everyone on my team to play like that. And then, by the way, this guy's the most talented player we can get. Those kind of guys are worth, you can't put a price tag on them. I mean, what's the season worth with these sold-out stadiums and being on national TV all the time for University of Miami for marketing? Like, you can't put a price tag on it. So when you get a guy like a Ruben Bain and you say, this is our best player, and everybody knows that this guy goes about his business off the field a certain way, and then on the field, he's going to be first to the football every time. He's going to chase everything down. He's going to make is he still leading our team in tackles? Just about. So it's like, when you have a player like that, I think of Tim Duncan with the San Antonio Spurs for all those years. I think about Tom Brady with the New England Patriots for all those years. When your best players set that tone, you have a personality and a culture on your team. And I think it's Bain setting the tone. Of course, it's Heatherman setting the tone, and it's Mario setting the tone. I think that's really been the key to the defense, more so than just any schematic thing, is just kind of letting these guys get loose.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I hope this isn't a bad omen for tonight as we're talking about the defense. They're doing a very nice story on looks like a reporter, a UCF reporter on College Game Day here, but they had a picture of him interviewing Mark D'Onofrio there. And I, as you were talking about the defense, and I'm a little spooked right now, quite frankly.
I mean, the ones that should be spooked is FSU, because FSU is doing all the stuff we were doing with D'Onofrio as far as the 3-man front, the freshmen starting on the defensive line, and us convincing ourselves that those guys were great. The big guy like Daryl Jackson, like, hey, I hope Daryl Jackson shows up to play today. Remember, we used to do that with guys. Man, I hope if this guy shows up to play today, he's going to be great.
That you haven't seen do anything all year yet, and you're just like hoping, like, oh, he had a good week of practice, like. And I brought this comment up that it's been sitting up here for a minute now. Sworn to the Storm says something that you've said pretty much from day one with Bane, because I think a lot of people get caught up with defensive linemen. Hey, how many sacks do they have? How many pressures? But he says what sets Bane apart on the edge is his rush defense. It has been a long time since I've seen an edge this good at pass rushing and run defense. And it's not just like his ability to do it with his physical traits, but mentally. A lot of times guys like him who can get a ton of sacks. We know that's what he can do. They chase that, and they are, which now that he's gone, I'll say it now, but I think that was an issue, and it's not like you guys didn't see it, but I think that was the issue with Tyler Barron a lot of times last year. He was not necessarily listening to what his assignment was on that play and just trying to get upfield and it let a lot of things open, right? So with Bane, it's mentally the recognition of the play itself, because we don't talk about play recognition with defensive linemen a lot, right? We talk about it with linebackers, with defensive backs, but for a guy like him, I think that's what makes him so special there, as Sworn to the Storm points out.
Yeah, that is a great point with his mentality, or his discipline, I should say. We're going to see that discipline tested today with Castellanos, because I think what we really need to do, and I don't know the plan, but typically with a quarterback like Castellanos that likes to get outside the pocket, you don't want to fly upfield and come after him where he can just escape to his right or his left. You want to take away his escape lanes and be a little more disciplined, just going vertical as opposed to bending towards the quarterback. But I think with Bane and Messidor, they're so strong physically that they're going to just knock these tackles back wherever they want to put them. So it's really more just about, like you said, the discipline to be disciplined in their rush in this case, to not chase the sack, keep Castellanos in the pocket, and he'll run into them. Like, he'll run into them with a sack. But on the run defense, yeah, the discipline, obviously the mentality, the motor, which we talked about. The one thing I'd add to it is just from a physical standpoint, a lot of times when you think about a big run stuffing defensive end, they're like these tall, long guys like your Richard Seymours, right? With the Patriots for so many years, who they're just so long and strong, they can take up two gaps with their arms and just kind of be that. I think what makes Bane so good is he's just so powerful and so low and has such strong lower body strength that he can just kind of like move guys and knock guys back in a way that is extremely unique. And you can't wash him out. You can't uproot him because he's too low and he's too powerful.
Speaking of all this power that we're talking about the defensive line, it's Saturday, so I want to remind everybody, stock up at Lomelo's Meat Market. If you guys are local in Miami, this is just past Dayland, about 10 minutes from Campus 9810 South Dixie Highway. You see the Wagyu here. You got also the prime cuts of beef as well. You get the skirt steak, which to me is great for not only tailgating, but just grilling with the games going on. And then you have the fancy stuff. You have the ribeye, the tomahawk here, but you got burgers, sausages, everything in between. Lomelo's Meat Market. If you guys are not local, you get nationwide shipping here, lomelos.com. And you can use that promo code CIS10 for 10% off your order.
Yeah, no, that's going to be that'll be Mario's barbecue here as he gets ready for his bye week and celebrates for 30 minutes before he gets ready for a bye week of recruiting. And listen, like I said, I've been walking the hills, feeling good. Legs are feeling good, but we've all dealt with injuries, and If you consider yourself an athlete, you're an active guy like myself, probably not hardest to sit on the injured list with pain or injury, maybe even try to hack your own rehab, get there early. But if compromising your movement or performance is not an option, call the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. With this elite competition with the University of Miami Athletics, just everyday movement, you and me walking around Tallahassee wearing your cane stuff, letting them know who's going to win today. The University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set an appointment today at uhealthsports.com.
Michael Montalvo says, missing the vibes from the licking. Man, you are not the only one. That makes 3 of us now.
Well, the slate's not too good, though. I got to say. I mean, obviously, I wish I was eating that broccoli, but the slate's really not that good. And as I look at the college football landscape, where you got Georgia and Kentucky at noon, yet another Cuban quarterback with Zach Calzada, the Cuban missile for Kentucky. I don't think he's having a very good year, is he? Our boy.
No, I don't think so. But we got, I guess, October 17th is the next one. That's the Louisville game, Friday night game. The vibes should be nice on a Friday afternoon there at the Lickin'.
I think Calzada got benched from what I could see. No, that Friday, that's going to be, that's a Friday, huh? Yeah, nice.
That'll be a fun one, man. 7:00 start, so we hang out there, lunchtime on. Hopefully people are cutting work short or not working at all, and meet us at the Lickin', man. That'll be on the 17th. So.
Yeah, so Calzada has been terrible for the Cuban QB reputation nationally. Yeah, Calzada struggling. Castellanos is going to get smoked today. Need Mendoza to come through for Oregon to keep the reputation alive. This rare Cuban QB moment. Amanjit Air says 8 hours until the constrictor begins the hunt. Let's go. I'm seeing a lot of snake emojis, Pete, on Twitter and everywhere else. Our guy Cloud.
Dude, it would be wonderful to see a performance like that, man. It would be really, really nice. I really feel like they're going to come out strong, man. It's not that FSU won't be locked in either. I think both teams can come out and play a good game, but I still think if Miami's best and Florida State's best, Miami's better. That's my point, right, D? Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens at 7:30 tonight, but it's been weird, D. That I'm normally the negative one, even like behind the scenes, even I haven't been negative, right? Like,
no, you know what you see.
I truly believe what I'm seeing. Like, so in years past, maybe there was some fake confidence but in years, it's not like I said last year they were going to win 11 games. I said they were going to go 11-1 this year, and I feel phenomenal about that prediction right now. So,
in terms of the Boa Constrictor analogy that you famously used, I really do think it applies here for a lot of reasons. But on defense, you're talking about, we talked about a little bit when we talked about Heatherman and what we need to do today. If Bain and Messidor can, keep that pocket where Castellanos can't escape right or left, and they're knocking those tackles back, which I'm positive they will, it is going to feel like a boa constrictor coming around Castellanos because you have nowhere to go. He can't see over the line, can't throw. So when he's stuck in the pocket like that, he is really useless. And the pocket will close in because, again, Messidor against Gunnar Hansen, that's a joke. Bain against anybody's a joke. That Pettis guy looks like he needs to run these Tallahassee hills because he's got a little excess weight. He's going to get smashed back. So that's going to constrict.
He's what Markel Bell haters think Markel Bell is. Like a big guy who can't move. Markel Bell can move. Listen, Pettis gets his hands on you. He's very strong, but I think in terms of the agility and side to side can be exposed a bit.
No doubt. I think he's going to get knocked back because, Markel Bell's in great shape too.
That's what I'm saying, though. But like we get comments saying like, hey, Markel Bell struggles with the speed, right? And he's shown at times. There's been a handful of moments in his season and a half playing at Miami now that he has shown that. But I think overall, that's not what it is, right? I think that's more Pettis as someone who legitimately, consistently will struggle with that.
100%. I think, Pete, I'm seeing a scenario here when Castellanos gets completely embarrassed and we hand him that second L, and he embraces being Castellanos, and he wants to rediscover his Cuban heritage, he's got to go to East Las Canarias Cuban Express right there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. 7 different types of croquetas, including the OG ham, the most famous croqueta in Miami, most famous croqueta in the world. All kinds of grab-and-go options. If you want to eat there, you get the full steak dinner, all the classics, new stuff, whether it's the kimchi croqueta, these cubaritos, which is a twist, or just, again, the traditional stuff, the Cuban sandwich, the medianoche, pan con lechon, which is the pig. You got everything you need, plus the sweets, the shakes, and of course,
I showed you the picture my buddy Eric sent me the other day. He texted me a picture of a big bowl of vaca frita de pollo, chicken vaca frita, and he said, "Man, I got all of this for $13." He was shocked at the deal that he got there, and it was legit.
That's all authentic. That was not part of
at all. I'm telling you, that's why I bring it up. So.
We believe it. I mean, that's the thing with our sponsors. We believe it because we get free stuff. So Nick's saying, do they do cafecito? Of course. I mean, every shade, man. They got everything in the world. It's really is it's a deep menu. It's a deep playbook. It's like Shannon Dawson looking at his playbook with all his options of what he can do to this FSU defense.
What a start to the year, man. What a start to the year. I gotta say, we'll see what ends up becoming a Florida season, right? I said this yesterday. We'll see what happens with Florida State here if Miami wins, and now would be 2 losses in a row. USF looked pretty good last night. I mean, did something happen at the end that they weren't looking good? I saw someone said that Byron Brown didn't look like he was.
I think they caught up a little bit.
Yeah, they were killing them. I mean, they should run through that conference for the most part. But just matchups that you could get excited about as Canes fans, and that's we'll see what happens here with the ACC, but I love this mentality of scheduling some of these games, man.
Yeah, good question from Jordan. I know you have some thoughts. Who do you think will spy Castellanos? Will it be Mo Toure, Wesley Basaint, Marquise Lightfoot? And I know it's going to be, the game flow will be, there's not going to be one player doing one thing throughout the game, but who do you think is the most important guy as far as keeping this guy from getting loose running the football?
I think it's Lightfoot is not going to play every down, but I still think it's going to be him because he'll be in there on those very critical situations. And I do think Florida State still knows they need to be smart with Castellanos and not be completely reckless in terms of running him every single play, right? So I think that they may keep some of these plays in the back pocket for critical downs. I'm not saying that early in the game, they may try to get a little reckless. But once we get into the flow of the game, once everything settles in, I just don't see them understanding that Miami has the physical guys on the other side there. We talk about how sometimes coaches, and I think Miami to a degree is holding running Carson Beck more until like later in the season. I know we saw it against USF, but I think we'll see it more. I think just in the way that this game is, they're gonna be very dangerous on those third downs, right? And they're gonna hold some of these Gus Malzahn plays that we're worried about in terms of the misdirection and stuff like that. I think third down will be when you see a lot of those come to light, and that's when Lightfoot's probably going to be out there. So, but Basanth, I had Basanth and Lightfoot as like my 2 defensive players of the game when we said it the other day at Duffy's. So.
Yeah, we got people saying Thomas, others saying Toure. Again, I think it's going to be a team effort, but I think really the key here, and I said it again earlier, but I got to say it again, is if Ruben Bain and Messidor are just completely, just physically dominating Pettis and Gunnar Hansen. And Gunnar Hansen, I've seen this since high school. Solid player for the Vanderbilt level, the old Vanderbilt level, not even the new Vanderbilt level. He transferred out of there and they've gone to a new level. But like against these kind of guys, you can't go out there if you're FSU with Gunnar Hansen and Pettis. It's just not a fair fight. I mean, you need what Miami has. You need Bell and Mauanoa. And even then it's going to go back and forth. I've seen it in practice. But to go with Hansen and Pettis, you're not equivalent, particularly from a power standpoint or an athleticism standpoint or a body standpoint. I mean, just look at these guys. Just look at them. When they do warm-ups, if you're at the game or you're watching on TV, just look at the FSU left and right tackle and their bodies and their size and how they move, and compare them to what you're dealing with Miami Hurricanes with Messidor and Bane. So I think that's such a mismatch that the key is going to be those guys, Bane and Messidor, and Armando Blouin when he gets those opportunities as well, knocking back these tackles and just staying disciplined and keeping Castellanos in the pocket. Because if he can't go right or left, you don't need to spy him. What's the spy? He can wait for a crevice and try to go up the middle, but FSU's interior offensive line is their weakness. I would argue that their guards are probably some of the worst guards that we've played all year.
But I think as NSV Sports Cards says here, the D tackles also have to be disciplined, because you start with your eyes chasing some of the stuff they do, motion wise and reverse wise, then you get caught looking elsewhere, and then Castellanos sees them, looking one way and goes right up the middle. So
yeah, and I think if I have to go back and look, but I think CJ Carr, some of his success running,
they were right up the gut.
So that's something we have to watch for. But again, I think if you look at FSU, we'll find out very quick what FSU's offense. If FSU's offensive line is competitive and not just pass blocking, run blocking, they're going to have a much better chance. I really think that FSU's offensive line stinks. I mean, I truly believe they stink. Their scheme is working. Things are going well, certainly with the competition they're playing, but I don't like anybody on their offensive line. Maybe their center, but their guards to me are pretty terrible, and their tackles are just kind of flabby and just unimpressive. So if Miami can be completely dominant in that matchup, which they were against UF's offensive line, which to me is a better unit, which they were against Notre Dame's offensive line, which I think is a significantly better unit, then it's going to be tougher for FSU. And I know I made the close prediction, and I got to stick by it, but maybe it's just being up here. But the more I think about it is, it's first road game. Weird stuff happens. There's always a close game. That's kind of was driving my pick. FSU's got a lot of emotion. They're feeling good. They're motivated. They're desperate. But, man, it's just they have really, really, really bad mismatches in the trenches all over the place. I can't think of one advantage they have, or I can't think of one position that FSU has matching up against Miami on the other side on the trenches part that's even like close to even, because their guards are way worse than our D tackles. Their guards stink, in my opinion. Their tackles are closer to average, but they're going as the best pair of the D ends in the country. And on the defensive line, they're really bad across the board, and our offensive line is the best in the country. So I think the more I get close to game time, again, maybe it's just being up here and getting juiced up and watching that Elvis American Trilogy Battle Hymn of the Republic video that we just posted on Twitter and Instagram. Maybe the more times I watch that, I'm starting to lean more towards, I think we're going to kind of smoke these guys a little bit. They don't match up very well up front.
How quickly you turn, man.
Pete, by the way, I think you got a second career here, maybe as a fashion model, because every time you wear these track suits or these windbreakers, everybody's all over the comments. That's all they talk about.
I have a different eye for the Canes garb, one would say. So I appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. My girlfriend would agree with the fact of me being a fashion guy. I think she probably would strongly disagree with that statement. And she would think my wardrobe is too colorful and things of that nature. But I appreciate it.
So Kevin D says their OL can't be too bad. They ran so well. Look, I mean, it's a good point. I would say two of the teams they played are just not even competitive. Like, forget about it.
She's listening.
Natasha, let him be flashy. Let him be himself. Let him be himself. I'm sorry, he's going to draw a lot of attention. You got to learn to deal with that. You yourself are a star. You're used to having attention. He can have attention too. Show some love. But yeah. So, wait, look at Kane's Cat says everyone said the full zip he is wearing was ugly as hell 6-7 years ago. It's about time.
I don't think this came out 6-7 years ago, but if it did, then I guess I'm making it hot again. Hot for the first time.
It's timing. It's all about timing. But yeah, look, with respect to FSU's offensive success, Virginia. Okay, so let's start with the two teams they played. Kent State, and who was the other team they played? Like I didn't never heard of the
East
school.
Texas A&M. I think they used to be Texas A&M Commerce.
Is that the school that had like Kathy Ireland kicking for them in Unnecessary Roughness? You never even heard of that movie, have you?
I don't know what that is.
You know who Kathy Ireland is?
Mm-mm.
You should Google her. She was like the whatever. I don't know who the girl is now that like the Alex Searle of the of my era. But she was a kicker in a movie. I think she played for this East Texas State or whatever team that FSU played. But anyways, that team's garbage. So those two are the worst teams in the country. You look at the Virginia game, you say, okay, well, FSU did run the ball against Virginia, 256 yards rushing, which is pretty impressive. But look at Virginia's schedule. Virginia only played one real team, which was NC State, right? Which they lost, by the way, to NC State. Look at that game. NC State ran for 216 yards, 6.2 yards a carry, 4 touchdowns. Hollywood Smothers had 140 himself. So CJ Bailey had 2 touchdowns. So Virginia can't stop the run. Virginia is terrible against the run. So you went against two teams that are non-competitive, and then you went against the team in Virginia, that number one you lost to, that when that team played a real team in NC State, they also ran for 200 yards against them. And NC State is nothing special at all. In fact, they're probably pretty mediocre. We'll probably beat them by 3 touchdowns. And NC State beat Virginia. So really, the one team that FSU ran against that you would say theoretically has a good run defense would be Alabama, which we know that's the game that's really making their reputation. I think they kind of caught them off guard, number one. I think that was just one of those games where they caught Alabama napping with this different kind of scheme, with the different things they were doing. And Alabama's run defense also, by the way, is horrible, which is why I'm not an Alabama fan. And you say, oh, how's Alabama's run game horrible or run defense horrible? Alabama, we saw how they got destroyed by Florida State. So is Florida State good? They played Georgia, which Georgia was one of the worst running teams in the country last year, as we know. That's why Carson Beck is a Miami Hurricane. One of the many reasons why Carson Beck's a Miami Hurricane, because Georgia couldn't run the ball last year. It's not old Georgia. But then when Georgia played Alabama, 227 yards rushing, 6.9 yards per rush. So Alabama might just suck stopping the run. I mean, that'd be my theory. You look at Virginia, I think they are just bad at stopping the run. Flip to Miami. How did Miami do against legitimate running games that are way better than Georgia, way better than all these other teams? They completely dominated them. I mean, look what did Notre Dame do against Miami? Let me pull up this stat right here. As far as Notre Dame with Jeremiah Love, which people say, oh, Jeremiah Love's overrated. You see Jeremiah Love when he's playing teams that aren't Miami. The guy's a stud. And the other guy, Price, is a stud. Here's Notre Dame's rushing total. And their quarterback was running too, by the way. Here's their running totals against Miami. 93 yards. Notre Dame. 3.3 yards per rush. If you only include their running backs, 77 yards total for Notre Dame. Jaden Baugh, who, Pete, you said was one of the best backs in the country, and you got a lot of support on that statement. I won't revisit that now. He is. I think he's definitely better than what FSU has. How much did they run for? 80 yards, 2.8 yards a carry. So
nice touchdown run that he had.
It was nice, actually. Jaden Baugh is better than anybody at FSU. I'll give you that by a mile. So the point is, when you talk about FSU's running game, let's see FSU's running game play a real run defense, because they haven't played any throughout this year, and they're about to play a run defense that, at least to this point of the season, I would argue is the absolute best in the country.
Big Noon's doing their promo now for Miami, Florida State. Wow, and they have the graphic was like the old school graphic. It was pretty cool. Like they did the rankings graphic just like it. That was nice. That's
Bear Felica is showing up and taking that operation to a whole nother level. USF, they're pretty good at running the ball, right, Pete? Running quarterback, 40 yards rushing.
Last night.
40 yards rushing, 1.5 yards per rush. So I think what you have here is an elite run defense going against FSU. And FSU, look at the stats, say this is an elite run game. I'm selling, because none of the running backs are any good as far as like future pros. Maybe
Byron Brown ran for 162 last night.
And what do you run first against us? So Byron Brown against the Miami Hurricanes ran for 2 yards.
They ran for
13
407 last night.
They ran for 40 against Miami, 2 yards for Byron Brown on 13 carries. I mean, and I agree with Nick West.
I mean, Charlotte's 1-4 now, so
no, Charlotte sucks. But I mean, they ran for way more yards against UF, which is a pretty decent defense.
I agree with this. I agree that Brown's better than Castellanos. Castellanos. I'm sorry, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, so against UF, which is at least an SEC defense, USF ran for 128, ran for 40 against us. So this is an elite run defense that we have, and we're going against FSU, and we'll see what they got. But I think if you break down their running game, Castellanos is a good runner, but he's small. Like if you're ready for him, he's not going to be running you over like a Tim Tebow. He's based on quickness and deception. Their running backs are not going pro, aside from maybe Chroma, like down the road, who's their third back. They have solid backs, like they're tough, but they're not, would you call these backs dynamic? Like they're not Jeremiah Love, and I wouldn't even say they're Jaden Baugh.
Jalen Lucas has some dynamic ability.
They have,
he hasn't done much this year, but Jalen Lucas isn't bad.
No, Jalen Lucas, and he can make.
He's a receiver too, and he's a kick return guy. He had a good game against Bama, did he not? He
made a big play. He's a good gadget guy. Lucas is a good gadget guy. Danzy's a good gadget guy.
But that's why, it's hard for me, D. I agree with everything you're saying, and now I'm gonna sound like the one who picked the 3-point game. But it's hard for me to I understand what you're saying, and I picked it as an 18-point win for Miami, but I don't think FSU's success in this game or when they do hit big plays will be because they're going to overpower Miami. It's going to be because of the trickiness, because of the speed that they do have. And it's just an annoying offense to defend, right? And one missed assignment on one play can lead and this is any team, but them in particular, they have 3 or 4 guys out there that can take it the distance on some plays, right? They have legit speed. So with that being said, I agree with everything you're saying in terms of the trenches, but sometimes the way that they win is not going to be with the trenches necessarily.
No, you're right. You make a good point. A lot of those rushing yards that we talked about were not from, the running backs between the tackles. Those were yards that were a Danzy 70-yard run or a Lucas, 60-yard run. So I agree with that point. That's what we got to worry about. All I'm saying is if they cannot win up front and actually run like a real team, if they're just playing the gimmick game, I think they're going to get smoked, because you have to be able to run real, big boy style and then do gimmicks off that, which they did against Alabama.
I think Castellanos is going to I'm sorry. Castellanos is going to throw at least one pick on the run tonight, trying to do too much and just, overthrowing someone, throwing across his body. I think they're going to have him running around a bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I would say that's fair. That's fair. Pete, let's real quick. I want to talk about the other games on the slate. So pull up the slate if you don't mind, because I want to talk about the other games on the slate, which it's not the best slate in the world, but it's college football and it's better than anything that happens on any other day. But I got to talk about our boys at Duffy's Tavern. Your home away from home. They got all the games on all day. So you go to Duffy's Tavern right there, Duffy's Tavern Miami. Let's pull up the website here. Duffy's Tavern Miami. The unique watering hole on the edge of Coral Gables. This place has been around since, how many UMFSU games have these guys seen? Our guy Wayne the Pain is an institution down here. Jose Toledo, the whole crew, Junior, Eddie, everybody holding it down at Duffy's, taking it to a whole new level. All the classic charm. You go in there, it doesn't feel that much different than what it was when Jim Kelly was there. But you look at the menu, you look at the service, you look at the TVs, the amount of just the big screen outside. Everything is just elevated while still keeping it the same. And I think that's what Duffy's Tavern brings to the table. That's why it is the home of the Hurricanes and such an iconic spot to watch games all day. And they got the watch party here today, man. It's going to be rocking and rolling at Duffy's Tavern for the game. Wayne the Pain's got some sign outside. You got to take a picture of it when you pass by. But
I was there last night. I did not actually pay attention to what it was because I parked on a different. Wow, we got the wreath. We got the wreath.
Let's see the wreath.
I'm gonna get the wreath in here when she comes in here. I'm gonna show the wreath.
The funeral wreath for FSU season. Let's bring it out.
But I was out there last night. Shout out to my guy Kirk Menendez. Saw him out there at Duffy's. Listener
Shout out, Kirk.
The show. Hold on a second.
Oh, here we go. Pete's still working the wreath here.
I'm getting the wreath.
Yeah, so, but anyways, yes. Duffy's Tavern. Pete's home away from home when when he wants to get away from home decor duties. He sneaks out to Duffy's right there by his house in West Miami. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that wreath, man. That's the funeral wreath right there. Got to put a black ribbon on it for FSU.
All right, we're gonna get the wreath here in a second. What's this DB debate? What's the
DB debate? Oh, I think they're asking, like, I think I saw in the chat they're talking about who's going to cover. Who do they want to cover? Deuce is Lucas, Damari Brown. Some people are worried about Frederic covering because of size. I'll say this, guys. Frederic's not that small, and I saw him. He's a lot bigger than he was as a freshman. He really worked on his body. He's got great ball skills. I think any one of our corners can cover Deuce Robinson. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to catch a pass. I mean, the guy's a talented player. He's got size. He's one of the good players on FSU, one of the few, and he has ball skills. I mean, he's going to make some plays. That's what he does. But I think any one of these defensive backs can cover him, and it's not going to look like Syracuse or anything like that. These guys will be playing ball.
Wow, we got the dog with a football costume on too.
Shout out to Honey. There we go. Beautiful,
beautiful wreath. Is this a? Is this? I'm going to show Honey in a second. Is this a fall wreath? Yeah. Interesting.
That the leaves around your house are staying green the whole time. The only thing that's going to look like fall is the wreath itself.
I agree. Here we go.
But beautiful wreath. Shout out to.
Says everyone seems to love the wreath situation.
Oh yeah, bring in Honey. Bring in Honey right here.
Bring in Honey.
Get Honey. Grab Honey. She's gonna wear this thing all day. It's noon. She's gonna be wearing this thing all day. Oh, look at that.
Can we go full screen?
Let's go. Let's see if I can do it. Here we go. There we go.
Oh, no, well, I didn't mean me full screen, but there we go. Look at that. Honey's debut. I'm a wreath model, they said. Let's keep the Boa Constrictor away from Honey this evening.
Honey's first appearance. Green Tree saying, I may need to give Honey an NIL deal. Let's talk, Pete. Green Tree K and I private training. Let's go.
There you go. I meant if you just take Duffy's off the screen when you can.
Oh, yes. Shout out to Duffy's Tavern.
Shout out to Duffy's.
Let's go. All day. That FSU part of that watch party is going to be crazy, so make sure you get out there.
James Kane, it's not an old dog. The dog's like 2 years old, so. There you go.
Hold on. There's a comment I want to get to here.
You want to get to the games this weekend, right?
Oh, yeah. Let's get to the game. So what's up with the slate? Honey,
pretty you have Vandy, Bama. That's obviously the game day.
Yep.
Game. You have Wisconsin, Michigan. That's the big noon game. I don't think Michigan's that good, but Wisconsin's not good either. So not really sure which way to go that one. Penn State's going to obliterate UCLA at UCLA. Texas, Florida. That's the interesting one to me.
Yeah, I'm with you. So let's talk about Texas, Florida. So, it's just going to come down to whether UF's actually quit. They didn't quit against us. When I saw them come out of the tunnel, I was like, man, we're going to beat these guys by 40 because they were just like not into it. And then that first drive was pretty emphatic. So it looked like it was going to be a blowout. But then it kind of slowed down a little bit. I think the rain had a factor there. Marty Brown, that touchdown getting called back, which probably would have been the end of it for UF. So they hung around. Their defense played tough all game. So look, I think Texas is extremely vulnerable. It's at Florida. DJ Lagway said he's back during practice. So we'll see. I thought he was going to be back last against us, and that didn't happen. So, I'm not going to put any more faith in DJ Lagway until I see it because I've been saying the guy was, a talented guy that was just waiting to burst out and it hasn't happened yet. So, I'm glad it hasn't because obviously we want Florida. I'm not a big, hey, I want our guy teams we beat to do good guy. I want USF to do well. I'm happy to see Notre Dame do pretty well, even though, I'm obviously not a Notre Dame fan. But FSU and UF, I'm happy for them to lose every game and, their fans find something else to do with their time. But I don't know. Lagway says he's back. He's at home. What are you thinking?
I think you've got to be there to be back. I'm a Lagway guy, but I just think that we still haven't seen anything different from what we've seen his entire career. There's flashes, and that's it. I don't put what we're seeing on him necessarily. I don't think it's a great situation for him whatsoever in terms of what the offense. Well, let me not say whatsoever, because there's talent there, right? Whatsoever would mean he has nothing to work with. I just don't think the Billy Napier play calling and the offense in general is very good, and the offensive line is not good either. But yeah, I wanted to get to this real quick because we get this a lot. The Bagging Up says, how late am I? These notifications never work. For some reason, man, YouTube notifications are very iffy. So I apologize about that. Just make sure not only do you have your notifications on, but like on for our show. Because sometimes people say they have notifications on, but you sometimes have to go to the show specifically to put them. So I don't know. There's nothing we can do there. Same thing with the podcast uploading sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of talk on this game. Game day, I'll pick Miami. Theo Von said that he's worried Mario might eat all the supplements and our team might not make it to the end of the year. He was the guest picker for the Canes, but it sounds like everybody picked Miami. What's up with? I want to see Arch, because this is a good defense. We saw. I don't think they're overly talented. I've talked about this UF defense. I never was blown away by their talent. But what I will say about UF's defense, Pete, now you've seen him after talking bad about them for weeks, is they did play hard. And they were pretty well coached. They weren't making egregious mistakes. They weren't missing a million tackles. They were pretty solid with what they were doing. So if they continue with that energy, they're playing at home. I think that will be a test for Arch. We'll see that running game, the offensive line. This offensive line really has taken a step back. We'll see if they've improved. They have some talented guys there. Let's see if they've improved since the beginning of the year, because they were pretty unimpressive early. And then Arch, I was an Arch guy. I don't know why he looks so weird throwing the ball. We watched him against South Carolina. He played that game, the whole game, and he looked way better than he looks this year. So they say he's not hurt. Something, maybe, I don't know if he has the yips. Something's very weird, which is the way he throws the football in simple passes. Maybe he just needs, some confidence, but the release there is something's off. And I'm an Arch fan. I like the pedigree. I like the size. I like the athleticism. I like how he goes about his business. But yeah, that release is bizarre. I don't know if you have any thoughts on Arch right now.
I agree with that. It doesn't look right whatsoever. I think Florida could win that game. Actually, something tells me that they fight for Billy, and I don't know why. I think they win. I just don't think Texas looks all that good.
I'll tell you this. I hope let me amend something I said earlier, Pete, because I said I root for UF and FSU to lose every game, which I do. I can never not cheer for them to lose. If I see them losing, it's an automatic smile, and it picks up my day. But if I'm being really rational, I kind of like that we beat these teams. Hopefully, FSU is the latest example of this. You beat these teams down multiple scores, and then the team rallies after you beat them by multiple scores, like they did with Billy last year, got him an extra year to ruin another recruiting class. Hopefully it's the same way with Norvell, beaten by 3 touchdowns. Team has no chance of doing anything. Team rallies for Mike. Go to Miami next year, go to Hard Rock, get smoked. Team rallies for Mike. And kind of rinse and repeat. I like that formula. If we could just beat these guys by 3 scores, and then the team rallies around their coach and keeps these guys forever.
Lisa Snow says, I think the media attention affects Arch mentally. I want Florida to win and make us look better. That's the thing with Arch, man. To me, it doesn't look like anything mental. It looks like a physical issue. D, and I think you agree with that also from what we've spoken to. It just looks like he's kind of sidearming it.
But some said yips, which is a mental / physical
maybe
issue.
It is. I don't know. It looked, the wincing thing was weird to me that you see, but maybe it's a wince of I can't believe I just threw it like that. I was going to say something else. Another game that's interesting to me, D, is Virginia-Louisville.
Yeah.
3:30. That's a pretty good game.
I think Louisville.
And then you got Boise State, Notre Dame at 3:30 also. We saw Boise State get beat pretty handily week 1 against USF, but they've they've bounced back here and beaten Air Force and App State the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Notre Dame's going to be smoking teams for the rest of the year. I think Notre Dame, I crap on the talent of Florida State. I crap on the talent of Florida just because I think those programs are going in the wrong direction, thankfully. But Notre Dame, I think, is good. And we just beat a good team that played well. That, to me, that's why Miami's ranked top 3. That game, Miami played a good team that played well in that game, and then we won and controlled the game. So I think Notre Dame's going to be rolling. The thing with Notre Dame is going to be, are they going to get into the playoffs without having beaten anybody?
This is a death match here. Clemson at North Carolina right now. So
it's amazing how much Bill Belichick's been a non-story this year. Like, I feel like we don't hear. I mean, they interviewed him on game day today. The interview didn't work because everything. Maybe his girlfriend set up the comms, but
the interview was working. What are you talking about?
No, like it was like on a weird delay. Like there was like technical issues. I mean, we saw he did the interview, but it was all messed up. But I'm saying that we've not heard a lot about Belichick this year, which is crazy considering the should be a huge story. But I think it's just been such a disaster that like media's already tired of it. It's pretty crazy to me.
I think it's a fine line they have to walk also because they've been so bad, but like ESPN knows that getting him for an interview is big money in terms of hits.
Yeah.
So you can't really completely trash what's going on there. So it's a weird thing there. Yeah.
Nick West says he's the most overrated coach. Without Brady, he was garbage. Now, I'll say this. So I've made fun of Belichick. Not made fun of him. I've criticized him for being a huge cheater.
Double pass, first play of the game for Clemson. Wow. Is he going to score? Touchdown? Wow. First play of the game, touchdown.
Who scored?
Clemson. Moore. Man, double pass, first play of the game.
They need to win. They need to show what's up. So with Belichick, there you go. Great defense, Belichick. You didn't see that in the AFC East with those double passes. With Belichick and Saban, I've criticized them both for cheating. Belichick cheated, unlike the GOAT Don Shula. Saban, we know, cheated like crazy, and the NCAA covered it up. Here's what I'll say, though, differently about the two. And I'll admit, I might be just getting soft to Belichick to Saban because he's being nice to Miami and he likes Cristobal. So maybe I'm just.
I was gonna say, man. I was actually thinking that this morning, man. I remember the amount of times you called Saban out for cheating, man. And now we were postponing our show to hear Nick Saban talk glowingly about the Canes.
He is a cheater. I mean, look, he did cheat, so that didn't change. I'll say, here's to me the difference between Saban and Belichick. Okay, Saban, number one, different sports, college and pro, but Saban was able to succeed with many different quarterbacks. Many different types of quarterbacks, many different levels of quarterback play, whether Heisman caliber or way worse. Whereas Belichick only succeeded with Brady, and he has a super long career without Brady, giant sample size, over 100 games, and he's been a horrible coach, worse than Dave Wannstedt, statistically, pro and college level without Brady, worse than Dave Wannstedt. So basically, without Belichick, he's Dave Wannstedt. Without Brady, Belichick's Dave Wannstedt. Statistically, that's just the facts. Look at the numbers, college and pro. The other thing that, to me, separates Saban from Belichick is Saban, his coaching tree is actually good. Like, Saban's coaching tree has produced some of the best coaches in college football, including Miami's coach. Belichick's coaching tree, these guys are all terrible. I mean, like, some of the worst coaches ever to be head coaches in the NFL were the Belichick coaching tree. So, yes, they both cheated. But with Saban, he showed a lot more ability to win with different kinds of teams than Belichick, who really only won with the greatest player of all time, who, by the way, won a championship the first year he left Belichick. So I think that would be the difference between those two individuals. Pete, I want to get to a segment here that someone brought up in the chat, which actually goes to a different legendary coach that we'll talk about here in a second. First, need to talk about my guy, the Orchid Man, the one and only. I was talking to him recently. He's very confident that Miami's going to be able to take care of business. That is ORCHID Man, the Orchid Man. South Florida's landscape artisans from Palm Beach all the way down to the Keys. This is the key phrase right here. We make your landscape maintenance easy. You have business. You have a residence. You want a nice landscape. It's not just the pretty flowers. It's not just the design. It's the ugly stuff. It's the everyday stuff. It's the stuff that drives you crazy if you have to think about it. OrchidMan does that for you with tremendous attention to detail, tremendous customer service, all the dirty work, all the landscape maintenance that you just don't want to think about. You just want to say, hey, I want the best to take care of it. That's OrchidMan Florida. Sprinkler repair, irrigation, rain gutters, tree stump, fertilizing, tree trimming, you name it. OrchidMan Florida, ORCHID man, Florida.com. Landscape artisans, best in the business. So, Pete, there it is right there. Hey, by the way, shout out to Derek Hucks for giving me this idea to do the Method Man, the Hall and Oates on the ORCHID man, so they know. Got a lot of people leaving for Tally, people getting ready here. So a lot of people joining the chat now, man. 1,300 on. Like and subscribe to the show. So, Pete, I want to talk about something that another great coach. We heard Saban talk about Miami's defense. Urban Meyer on Big Noon kickoff, Big Noon Saturday, was talking about the key to this Miami FSU game. And he's saying the key is Carson Beck, the quarterback. And that's not exactly rocket science to hear about the quarterback being a key player. We know that. But Urban Meyer, of course, one of the greatest quarterbacks in college history. I think what he's saying is, Florida State's going to have to devote tremendous amount of resources to stopping Miami's running game. They have to. They cannot just line up and stop Miami's running game. They will get mauled by Miami because they're so small up front and their scheme just doesn't match up well with our wall, the great wall of Mirabal. So really, to me, if you're Florida State, your only chance is to say, I don't think your receivers are explosive enough. You're not getting a ton of explosive yards per completion. Carson Beck, we've seen him throw interceptions. We're going to make Carson Beck beat us and make these receivers beat us. That's the only way you really can play Miami's offense because they cannot let us just line up and run. It'll be a slow death for FSU. So Urban's saying Carson Beck will win the game or lose the game for Miami, and I agree with that. Now, I think he's going to win the game. I think he's going to put up 300-plus yards. I think it's going to be a big statistical game. I think this game, from Carson Beck's standpoint, is going to look a lot more like USF than Florida and more prolific than Notre Dame because Notre Dame had a better defense than FSU.
Oh, wow. These guys just got lucky. I'm sorry. I'm looking at this game up here, but Max Johnson got smoked, and it was a ball that was just hanging in the air between four Clemson defenders, and UNC got it and ran like a few more yards with it. So,
all right. Well, listen, I want both teams to lose. So let's see if someone's got to lose in that one. But yeah, with Beck, I just think the game plan for FSU has to be to let Beck beat him or make Beck beat him. And I think Beck is going to beat him because, number one, FSU can't rush the passer. So he's going to have time. When Beck has time, he's an incredible decision maker. He's extremely accurate. I think, PFF grades him as one of the best quarterbacks with a clean pocket. I mean, just the eye test, which is what I use more often than not. He's extremely good with the clean pocket. Very accurate, very experienced, has all the answers to the test. And I don't see any way FSU rushes the passer. They're one of the worst passers in the country. Miami's probably the best pass blocking in the country. So I think it's going to be very, very difficult for FSU to affect Beck as a passer. Then it comes down to the receivers getting open against FSU's defensive backs. And I think FSU's defensive backs stink. So Miami's going to have an advantage there. Miami was able to bag enough saying our receivers don't shake or run away from anyone. I saw our receivers make some pretty explosive plays against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's defensive backs are 5 times what FSU has. So I think we're going to throw the ball for a lot of yards in this game if we need to. I mean, maybe we run the ball because we're up by too much and we just milk the clock. But I think if we throw the ball a lot, we're going to throw for a lot of yards and be very successful and efficient doing it.
Now, are you concerned at all that these first few games, Notre Dame, they didn't really give credit to Miami's defensive backs, right, for being great in coverage. You haven't heard their names called all that much, but they haven't really. CJ Carr, they weren't really letting him air it out down the field early in that one. Byron Brown, that's not really a part of their offense. Florida, they were very dysfunctional there. They didn't even try to do it. Castellanos, not typically a prolific vertical thrower of the football. salty, but I would imagine the secondary is going to be tested a bit more today than they have been in the first few games.
Yeah, it's going to come down to just a few plays, right? On those big opportunities, those big shots, can you make the play on the ball instead of a Deuce Robinson or whoever it is, right? Or can you avoid the miscommunication that leads to the big play? Because it's not going to be a volume of plays. You look at FSU's best game in terms of everything was Alabama, right? That was the game that's the gold standard for what FSU is trying to do. But you look
I
at
agree with this, by the way. Comment D. I don't know if that was hyperbole, but I don't think that
you're right. They're 10 times better than FSU. FSU secondary stinks, folks. Let's look at FSU secondary, guys. Before I even get to the rest of this, FSU secondary. Okay, let's look at FSU starting secondary on ourlads.com. All right, let's just look at these guys. Earl Little was unable to play at Alabama completely. He was a complete bench warmer. I don't even believe he played, maybe he played mop-up duty, but he was not even in the rotation. Transfers to FSU because and no one wanted him. I mean, you could have had him in the portal for peanuts because he's not good. And he hasn't played well. He got run over by Virginia. He can't play man coverage. He's not good. Ashland Barker, their strong safety, a redshirt junior who never did anything until this year, is hurt. And he was their best player. You got this guy, Jabril Rawls, who apparently is their star. I'd never heard of Jabril Rawls until this year. If anyone else had heard of Jabril Rawls before this year, raise your hand, because I follow recruiting pretty close. I never heard of this Jabril Rawls character. I don't know if he's related to Lou. He is a class of 2023 player. He signed with FSU, so he's been around forever, and we're just hearing his name now. Picked FSU over Arkansas State, Bethune-Cookman, Boston College, and Coastal Carolina. Jabril Rawls. First time we're hearing about him. He's been in college for 3 years. Okay? That's their best player. I mean, if it's not Ashland Barker, who's out. Edwin Joseph, redshirt sophomore guy. We didn't recruit. Local guy. Nothing special at nickel. Malachi Tony will abuse him. Their best player is this guy, Jerry. They're supposed to be their best players is Jerry Wilson, that Houston transfer. Okay? So it's this guy that transferred from Houston. Seems like a pretty good player. From Kissimmee, 5'10", 185. But the guy's a senior and never had any kind of NFL interest whatsoever. So that's their secondary. Notre Dame has NFL players all over the place, including Leonard Moore, who's going to be a first-round top 10 pick. There is no comparison between that and what FSU has in the secondary. Alabama threw, honestly, once Alabama got away from, and because Ty Simpson was terrible in that game, and he still, once he got going, threw at will. It was just a matter of getting kind of jumped on by Florida State. Virginia, which is no great shakes at all, they threw the ball. They were able to move the ball without a problem. Miami is a whole different level. Wait, hold on. Bill K's asking, why such animosity towards FSU and not UF? Did you watch the UF shows? I hate UF more than FSU. I don't care about UF right now because they were decimated by 3 touchdowns. Their coach is getting fired. Their fans are moving on to other pursuits, like, I don't know, pottery or New York Times crossword puzzles or whatever those dorky-ass UF fans do. So I'm not that worried about UF. They've been dealt with. They're gone. Whereas Florida State's, the team that we're dealing with here today. And again, I will admit that I let myself get psyched out by things that had nothing to do with FSU, being on the road, not being behind in any game, just kind of things, general college football. Hey, we're going to have a bad game. Might as well be here. It's a rivalry game. But at the end of the day, the more you look at FSU's roster, the more you realize that this is just a very, very bad football team led by a bad recruiter who went 2-10 last year, and a fan base that is broke. The fan base is broke also, but the athletic department is broke as well. So you have an athletic department and a fan base that is broke. And that leads to poor recruiting, poor work on the portal, and a roster that has a bunch of guys that wouldn't even be on our scout team, quite frankly. So I apologize for being gun shy with my prediction and being worried about road game and noise and all these other factors, and forgetting that the team on the field stinks. And that's, I think, what I need to focus on. 34-16
Miami.
Listen, man, you're on fire, Pete. You got the wreath executed flawlessly. You got the outfit executed flawlessly. Honey's looking good. You know,
I gotta hop off here in a few D. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to get to.
Yeah, 1,400 on right now. So yeah, you can go ahead and hop off. I'll hang on for a second here because I want to talk about a couple more things and keep this rolling before I get out of here. But yeah, Pete, good job today. With good luck to with the home decor as you finish up the projects. And yeah, man, keep rocking the fashion. Don't let her bring you down. Don't let her take away your color. Don't let her take away your flair.
It's an ongoing battle.
All right,
war
man.
is war.
Nothing more. Be good. All right, you can check Pete out at the post game when he is celebrating this victory here. PJ Shaw says, look, if Miami disrespects the opponent like D right now, we'll be in for rude awakening. Good news is I don't have to play these guys. I'm sitting here in an Airbnb at Tallahassee watching the game, with a nice can of BUZZN. So they don't have to, I don't have to worry about anything, man. Like I said, I'm going to sit here with a nice can of BUZZN, and they don't have to worry about me playing. I'm not the one that they have to worry about. Our team's not looking past anybody. They're focused on the process. Really, they're not worried about FSU. They're worried about themselves. And they take care of their own business. They're going to win this game by 3 touchdowns. But I'll be sitting there with a BUZZN. That's BUZZN. Drink BUZZN.com. Use promo code FIRST50 for 50% off. This is 7.5 milligrams of real THC. I'm not a drinker. So I went out with the boys and their wives and my wife and everybody, the whole crew, last night, and I was up early. I was up ready to rock and roll, jogging around Tally, thinking about different scenarios, enjoying the good weather here because I didn't have the hangover. So if you want all hang and no hangover, that's BUZZN, baby. BUZZN, drinkbuzzn.com. If you're local, if you're in Miami, South Florida, Big Daddy's Liquors, you know where that is. They got Big Daddy's Liquors all over the area. Most famous liquor store down here, or one of the most famous liquor stores down here. So you can go to BUZZN, to Big Daddy's Liquors, pick up some BUZZN and take care of yourself and have a nice experience. Enjoy this blowout win, and then no hangover. You don't have to worry about that. Leave the hangovers to FSU when they drink themselves into oblivion after getting pulverized. So shout out to BUZZN. That is drink BUZZN.com. Zach asking, are you going to the game? Of course I'm going to the game. Yeah, no, I'm going to the game. I'm here. I'm walking distance from the stadium, man. And like I said, I'm walking around with my cane stuff, and no one's saying anything, man. They're not as cocky as they've been in the past. I think they know their team is not there. So I'm going to the game. Don't worry about that. Castaneda Music says a Mario Cristobal-led team does not underestimate the opponents, especially FSU. Yeah, and I think really it's about themselves. They got to focus on themselves, playing their game. Obviously, you look at the opponent as far as like what you need to do and how your job changes depending on the opponent. But like, if Miami does what they need to do, they're going to win this thing going away. It's really about them because they have the better team. Because they are such a superior team, they don't have to do anything crazy. All they got to do is do what they do themselves and take care of business that way. That's what James Kane says it right here. Fans can be as rageous as possible. Team is on a business trip. That's exactly right. They don't overlook anybody. But we do have matchup advantages all across the board. Sworn to the storm stage. We're scoring TD on every drive. Let's go. I like that. Michael Quinones says, we always gets the team up for big games. That's true. Great stat here. James Kane, Morrow's 8-2 off bye week or close to that. That sounds good to me. ROIBY, we need to clean up the pre-snap penalties on offense. Kill this on multiple drives versus UF. I agree with that. That is definitely a key. Not beating yourselves, just doing your own thing. Kane's Cat asking baseball. We have a live podcast on October 8th for the first fall ball practice. Maybe. We did a baseball. Did it come out yet? I recorded a baseball pod with my man Sebastian Fon. Let me just make sure it came out. I believe it did. Let's see here. Did that come out? No, I got to put it out today. I'll put it out right now. Yeah, there it is. We got the baseball pod. Oh, actually, that debuts at let me fix this here. The debut. We'll put that out. Let's put that out right now. Let's just put that right now. Let's do it right now here. So that baseball pod is published right now. So you want to check out that baseball pod, Kane's Cat, that I did with Sebastian previewing fall ball. You can watch it right now. Brought to you by Tallahassee and KashKick. Check that one out. on YouTube right now, and then maybe we will do something as fall ball starts to talk about it. Pedro says, our D-line is fast, right? I'm scared of screens. I mean, they've been eating screens alive in that horizontal passing game. You saw what Notre Dame try to do, ease CJ Carr into the game with those horizontal passes, and they got eaten alive. Same thing with Lagway. You know, both those games, they tried to ease those quarterbacks in, and they got eaten alive on those screens. So, yeah, that's a tough deal against Miami. As long as Miami dominates the trenches and doesn't turn over the ball, we should be fine. Go Canes. Appreciate you, Lord Baconton, as always. I agree. You got to take care of themselves. And he also said, like, share, and subscribe. Good weather. 44-17 Miami. Lord Baconton. I love it, baby. 1,400 on. Scotty says, Virginia's running backs found success when they bounce it to the outside with Lau coming back. He brings that same element. Look out for it, D. We're more of an between the tackles running team. As you know, the duo scheme, we have to keep it inside, avoid those negative plays. But yeah, Lyle can bounce out. Lyle can break tackles. Lyle's one of those guys that really does a good job with contact balance. I think Fletcher's going to be unstoppable here. I think Fletcher's going to have a huge game. I know my guy Night King's always on me. Trust me, I'm going to rep Fletcher. He's going to kill today. But Lyle is going to bring a change of pace that we need as well, and it's going to be a combo that is too much for FSU to deal with, in my opinion. So, we'll see what happens there. Lisa Snow, why are so many Miami Hurricanes fans scared? If we're going to playoffs, we should win this game. We got this. Go Canes. I agree with you, Lisa. Let's go. Cafe. Carson Beck's going to show the world how good he is tonight. Duval, the only county that's more famous in the city. Shout out to all the Duval Canes. I think that Beck's going to show you something here today. Appreciate you, Coach, and all your students there. Pound that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. One of the 1,400 plus on. Again, appreciate you. It's not too late, guys, to get your wardrobe right for the season. Just because it's October, the weather's changing. You might want to get some more fall gear, winter gear, like Pete getting the wreath. Gear up now, Miami Hurricane team store. It's MiamiHTS.com, located right across the street from the University of Miami. And if you're anywhere in the country, just MiamiHTS.com. You can order from anywhere, get that delivered. Promo code INSIGHT20 for 20% off. That is promo code INSIGHT20 for 20% off. Look at all this different kind of gear. Got the long sleeve, the fishing stuff, the T-shirts if you're down here in South Florida. If you're anywhere else, they got sweaters, long sleeves, you name it. They got it. Jackets at the Miami Hurricane team store, MiamiHTS.com. Anywhere in the country, they'll take care of you. Promo code INSIGHT20. I like this one. The Armando Blunt game. I think with his ability to chase the ball down, to be physical, I could see him having a huge game. And then PJ Shaw. I think we dominated like week 1 at the Swamp. Miami's home away from home. I like how you're thinking, PJ. Now we're talking. Sean, who's your MVP today? Ask me who's my MVP. Carson Beck. And then Jordan Lyle as a number 2. I think those guys are going to have huge games here today. So, again, almost 1,500 on now. Like and subscribe. Appreciate everybody joining us in the chat. It's going to be a great day. Go Canes.